Yeah,
Do people?
just be ready to talk about DPs.
I will be ready to. I'm always ready to talk about DPs. That's the sound clip right there. Welcome to another episode of Dad's Bet Baseball. I am Adam Rosenberg at Hey Rosenberg. With me, as always, is CJ Buskey, aka Slippin' Jimmy at Dad's Bet. CJ, happy Friday! It is nice out when it was not supposed to be nice out up here. How you doing?
I know. Thank God. I've been so excited for dong season, and yet I have been wearing a jacket like all week. So can we please not have to wear the jackets anymore? Can I feel good about betting home runs every day?
I would say it's funny because today is the first day, easily the first day of the season that I've been like, oh, I like the over, I like the over, I like the over, I like the over. I like the over in a game where I love the K prop. Like today, I don't know when people will listen to this, but tonight, arguably the marquee matchup is Yankees and Dodgers. And my entire cap on the game is very simple. Max Fried is from LA. And if you look at when he has played in LA as a Brave, he has, as the kids say, shoved. He has 70 Ks in 10 games,
Wow, that's
27
crazy.
in his last 3 in LA. And he's still giving up runs. He's giving up like 3, 4, whatever it is. Not a strikeout pitcher. His line today is 4.5. I didn't get greedy. I just took the 6 at plus money, but he's 3-1 for 7 Ks.
Can I guess this was the Mets game an over for you? Because I'm looking at it right now and I can't believe that that's 7.5. Although I understand why it's 7.5.
Mets isn't the overs for me today. The Red Sox Atlanta over. I can't make that any high enough for me. A team that's mismanaging its rotation against a team that's off a doubleheader with Grant Holmes.
Powers, baby. Grant, did you see the last time Grant Holmes pitched against the Red Sox? He was great.
Look, I mean, great future Los Angeles Angel, Grant Holmes, if I have my way, who he will be traded for. Jose Soriano is also pitching today. We'll get to that in a little bit, but yeah, look, here's actually, we're talking about a lot of these teams, that, have championship ambitions. And one of the markets that you and I hit last year around June, July, and you alluded to on our last episode, that is better than betting someone to win the pennant is sometimes just betting them to get there. And we had a lot of fun bets, some not fun bets in the last postseason. Mookie Betts, shout out, you paid for all of our losses. But another bet that paid for all of our losses was the Mets just simply to make the NLCS. And we got that at 16-1 in July. So I want to take some time right now and open up this show with going through this market to make the LCS in both leagues. And let's kind of figure out if there are a couple folks that we want to buy now. I think there's one that we both like just because I know our tendencies.
Yeah.
So let's
start with the
kind
AL,
of go through it. Let's do it.
I feel like the NL is more interesting to go through.
Okay.
And for folks that were hoping to join to have an NL AL Central discussion, don't worry. We'll save that.
We're the Cubs. Or yeah.
So the way I was thinking we could do this, Adam, is kind of similar to how we were doing the Cy Young-a-thon last week, where I'm going to give you a list of teams, and then I'm going to give you the odds for those teams, and then we're going to narrow it down. So we've got, for the AL, I have 9 teams. The NL, I have 10. So we're going to just start by, I'm going to give you the 9 teams. I'm going to list these odds, try to do it rapid fire. And then I want you to just cut the first 3 that you're immediately like, absolutely not a good bet. You ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So AL, as I'm looking at this, for those that do not see, well, none of them sees, but we have a listing of Yankees, Red Sox, Tigers, Guardians, Twins, Royals, Mariners, Rangers, Astros. Here's who I am not interested in at all. Not interested in the Royals. Not interested in the Twins. Not interested in the Astros.
Okay. So just for everybody, so again, if you're not, live on Bet365 where these prices were pulled from, I'm going to give these are from Bet365. I believe this market, we won this on FanDuel. So I just didn't.
We won on FanDuel. They have it on DK too.
Okay. All right. So I didn't see it on FanDuel this morning.
No, it's not up on FanDuel yet. FanDuel only has seedings right now, but DK does have it.
I think they will have this back though.
They
at
will
some
have it
point.
soon.
They might just
Yes.
wait. Anyways, so the odds for those teams that you just threw out: Royals are 7-1,
Yep.
Twins plus 650,
Basically the same.
Astros are 4-1. I think the only one that you just threw out that I think I'm okay with you throwing out the Astros at 4-1, but there's a few things that I could make a case for the Astros, but that's fine. We can get
But
rid
I
of that.
will point out, if you notice on this, the Guardians, the Twins, and the Royals all have roughly the same odds to do the exact same thing, which to me is kind of telling about parity / non-parity within that division. So just it's something to keep in mind that it odds wise, these teams appear to be interchangeable based on what their path and what would need to be done for them to do that. So
Yeah. The only
that's
thing with the
part of
Astros, I want to, by the way, call out too, easiest strength of schedule remaining in the AL. So
AL West.
in fact, no, not even just the AL. Actually, I'm looking here. They have the easiest strength of schedule in all of baseball. So they have an average win percentage of opponents of 468 right now. So if they are able to somehow sneak past and get a bye, you kind of got 2 wins in your bag with Hunter Brown in the DS series. So 4-1, I don't think the price is good enough, but just wanted to call that out that I'm kind of earmarking them in case their price gets a little bit longer. All right. So 6 teams left: Yankees, Red Sox, Tigers, Mariners, Rangers, and I am missing one here because we just threw out the. Or is that it? Is that all 6?
No, it's Guardians.
Yankees, Red
Guardians
Sox.
are there.
Oh,
Guardians.
Guardians. Sorry, I'm sorry. I was assuming you threw out all the AL Central.
No. So now I picked. Now you want me to pick 3 that can make it?
So let's do. So let's take 3 from that list, and then we got it. We've narrowed it down to our final 3.
Yankees, Tigers. I can't quit this Rangers team. So
I can't either.
it's just I can't because
I don't like the price, but I'm with you. I think you have to put them in the final 3.
To me, it's just if you put a 3-man of Molly, Evaldi, and DeGrom in a 5-game set, I think is arguably the best in baseball.
So Yankees, Tigers, and Rangers is where you're saying in the AL, those are your best 3. So I would agree. I think that at least in terms of value, I like the Rangers, even though we have already liability on them.
I know.
But I mean, just go listen to last Friday's pod for more reasons as to why. You had mentioned right before we had jumped on this that you thought the Yankees at plus 120 was a fantastic bet.
I think that's a fantastic bet. So one of 2 things are going to happen with the Yankees. The Yankees are either the number 1 seed in the AL and they only have to win 1 series to get to the LCS, of which they would probably be priced minus 180 at the shortest.
Right.
Or they're the 2 seed and they have to play 2 series and they're still probably priced in that first series at minus 200. So any way that I cut this on like a rollover, that Yankees team, the Yankees that just appear in the LCS, the Yankees are better. Like they have the best player in baseball and most underrated, as we've pointed out. Yes. They have arguably the Cy Young of the AL, who is, as I mentioned, going today on Shabbat at home, or his home where he's from LA. And I just think that team has the different pieces that makes that run like a not great Yankees.
I mean, some of the models would also back up that statement. Like if you go and look at their Pythag, they're actually 4 wins below expectations right now, which is
which is probably all what's his name's fault. Williams.
Yes. Well, the other team on that list, by the way, is another team we're going to talk about here once we get to the NL, but they should be just by Pythag around 39 wins. They're at 35. I think people also forget they're missing Stanton. They're still
and Jazz Deal, for like half the
couple Jazz. Months. Bellinger was literally to the point of either being DFA'd or traded about.
And then he got white hot.
Then he got super hot. So I I mean, I think the Yankees are probably. I'd be curious, like, what their price is for the 1 seed as well, because
That's
I
the
don't
that's the bet
mind
probably.
taking them for that over and catching Detroit. Also because they have an easier division to be able to do this. Okay, so market already is ahead of us there because the number 1 seed, at least I'm just checking on FanDuel, is
Yeah.
minus 105
So
for that. So
to pause one thing right there though, and 99% sure we gave this out earlier in the season. I know I did, but like Yankees had the best record in baseball is the bet to make for this. It's probably 6-1 now, and which we gave out at 12-1.
yes,
I'm
yeah.
guessing it's
So
6-1.
I'd have to go. FanDuel doesn't have that one
Okay,
right here, but I'll go find that. But
probably 5 or 6-1. But we gave
yeah,
it out at 12-1 because what you're basically saying is that it's them or the Tigers. Anyway, point is, I
yes.
want to put that aside because that's not the bet that's not the. I do think that is a great bet for the purpose of this exercise, though. I don't think that's where you want me to go.
Yeah, so let's go to the NL because the team
Sure.
there. I know for a fact before you even say it out loud, there's a team that when I looked at this list, you and I both went, oh yeah, like I need to probably put a little bit of money on that today. So here's your NL teams. There are 10 of the NL teams as opposed to 9 of the AL teams, just because I think the NL obviously is a little bit deeper. So the teams on this list: Phillies, Mets, Braves, Cubs, Cardinals, Reds, Dodgers, Padres, Giants, Diamondbacks. That is your list. So we have 10. I want you to cut 4 teams right now from that so we get down to 6.
Cut the Cards. Cut the Pods.
Can we cut the Diamondbacks?
Yeah.
I think we can cut the Diamondbacks.
And I knew that we were going to both land on the same team and is this the same team that you and I landed on last year?
To make the LCS?
Yeah, at an absurd number. I think we had it to make the playoffs, but
I think there's 2
Let's say it on 3. Let's say it on 3. 1, 2, 3. Giants.
Nets.
Oh.
Okay.
All right. Never mind. But I do like that too. All right, keep going then. Keep going.
Yeah. So, and Giants. Okay. Because I was actually in this last one torn, being like,
for the value, I think the value is fantastic on the Giants.
Might want to
keep
take them out, but you're right. So, okay. So those prices, to recap, the ones we just threw out: Cardinals are 15-1. The Diamondbacks are 7-1. The Padres are 6-1. I'm glad you also said the Padres because I am not confident in that starting pitching once we get to October. Also, I don't know how long King's going to be out for, so that's concerning a little bit for me. All right, so teams left: Phillies, Mets, Braves, Cubs, Reds, Dodgers, Giants. Okay. So
and pick 3.
Let's cut 3. We're gonna pick 3 from that list:
Phillies, Mets, and Giants.
All right. Can I just give you the Reds?
And you can. I just have I like the Reds, and I want to do that. You can give me the Reds. You can switch me the Reds and the Giants. I think the market's way too low for the Reds.
That's my thing, right? Like the Giants, and I agree with you on definitely on the value on the Giants. But if the reason we're taking the Giants there is value, I think you're getting better. Like you're just getting a much better price on the Reds at 22-1 versus 8-1 on the Giants. And I mean, pitching wise, and again, so I said earlier, which of these teams have been probably better than their record so far has indicated? I said the Yankees had a delta of 4, which was the most in baseball with one other team. That other team is the Reds.
That's insane, by the way.
The Reds,
and that's all Devin Williams' fault.
The Reds should be 4 wins better. They should be 32-25, according to, again, this is just Pythag. But so they also got off to a horrible start at the beginning.
Still won our April bet. Still cashed our April bet for us
with the 15.5. Thank God it was 15.5. But so that's my only point with the Reds is I think if we get into a wild card situation, I've got Hunter Green, and now we're looking at they'd likely be playing who would it be? I guess, oh my God. See, the problem also in the NL is I have a hard time figuring out who is that third seed, because
So here's the
I
thing
think
to
the
think
Phillies,
about.
like one of the Phillies, Mets, Dodgers, and Cubs is going to have to be that third seed.
Right. But so here's the thing with all of it. And while I'll switch my vote back to the Reds, and here's why. Either of those teams, by the way, I love that we both don't have the Dodgers going to the NLCS. I think that's hilarious. But both of these teams, and this is interesting. Both those, either of
Also
those teams,
minus 155. I'm absolutely
yeah. There's no, I don't have any. I'd much rather that. Well, I'd much rather buy the Yankees at plus 120 than the Dodgers at that. I just want to. I'm going to quickly just look at this on Fangraphs, or actually, how about I do it on Fangraphs? I'll just do it on our site. Okay, so this is what. So each of those teams is going to be a road team, regardless of what happens. And if you go to Handigraphs and you look at who are the best teams on the road, hitting wise, the sixth best team right outside of that top elite quadrant is the Cincinnati Reds in terms of hitting and run production and everything that goes with it on the road. The Giants, third worst. So I will take those guys. If the Reds are going into LA to play a 3-game set against the Dodgers, well, they wouldn't in the first round because the Dodgers won, but bear with me on this. Yeah. Now that I'm kind of thinking about it, I forgot how the Reds are. The cap of the Reds has always been, they hit home runs in their little league ballpark. The Reds are infinitely better offensively on the road. So that is kind of my main way that I want to look at this, is that their path. And if you also notice, I think this is a little bit boosted, but Arizona's is really good too. But Cincinnati, really good BABIP, really good on base percentage, really good OPS, all that on the road. And when you go to them at home, it's actually a complete flip, and they're not doing well at hitting at home. So this team could end up being that Diamondbacks team that we saw of 2022, especially with the pitching rotation that they have.
Yeah. And again, I just like the price at, 20, like today is May 30th. If I'm placing a bet today, which do I think am I going to get the most equity on over the next 2 months? The Yankees and the Reds, to me, are those two teams.
Yeah,
because I think especially if the Yankees like go on a heater here, and they are sort of on a heater, like that plus price is not going to be one to be found. I did mention real quick that I still do kind of like the Mets at plus 250. If you're looking maybe for a little bit shorter, mostly because I now have 2 months of evidence that pitching staff is very, very good, and they still haven't got Manaea back. They still haven't got Montas back. Brazaban has been obviously an elite setup guy for them so far in the bullpen. Diaz has been good. There's just a lot of pieces on the Mets, and also their pitching could potentially get even better.
They've also been there before. They just were there.
They were just there. So I there's plus 250. It's not my favorite out of all of these, but I think that that's maybe a little bit too long for them.
I like the Yankees. So like the far and away the best bet I think on this board is that Yankees plus 120 just to show up at the LCS, just because of the distance I think between them and some of those other teams. The Mets, I still kind of am like, I could see the Mets spiraling out on a couple things. The Mets are going to get better with some reinforcements. They're also going to get future Met Dalton Varsho, who will become a Met.
Putting that into existence.
Say goodbye, Starling Marte. But Dalton Varsho, you are joining this team. Possibly Brett Beatty. Bye-bye. So I do like that, but this market is so down on this Reds team, and they have a fantastic pitching rotation, and if things start to click in a Tito way, like they did for every guards team that we saw, which is a July, August kind of 13-game winning streak type of team.
Yeah.
This is a fantastic bet. And in terms of equity of what you can get on this is probably the one that I would do.
Yeah.
Just to show up, just to be there. Also, by the way, like the Reds, the Phillies at plus 210 is great. I think the Phillies are going to be the 1 seed, but that's neither here nor there. I think they're going to try to avoid it, but they think it's going to still fall into their lap accidentally. But I think
it's actually kind of crazy, by the way. So maybe to put a bow on on these team markets, at least for now. But that to get the 1 seed, at least on FanDuel, is plus 440 for the
Oh, that's a
Philadelphia
great bet.
Phillies
Oh,
right now.
that's a fantastic bet.
That's way too long for them, especially given the Dodgers. We're likely not seeing Snell for at least another month. I mean, Sasaki, I think they're gonna Sasaki, even when he comes back, that's not to me like reinforcements because of how bad he was prior to going out. And it's funny you mentioned at the beginning of the show the like the marquee matchup is Yankees Dodgers this weekend. Go look at who the Dodgers are throwing for this series. They've got Yamo on Sunday, and that's it. Like
Yeah, it's the most
Gonsolin is their guy
it's
going
the
tonight. So
most bullpen innings of any team by
and
about
that
40 innings.
yeah. So I think
Uh,
plus 440 on the Phillies for the 1 seed is
yeah, I think
also maybe
I
a
think
bet
that's
to
good.
make.
Also think the Phillies are going to try to avoid it because of what happened last year, but we'll see.
The 1 seed?
Brandon Porter's in the chat, noted Riley Green fanatic and Philly guy and good dude all around. Brandon Porter is pointing out that we think about the bets with moves at the deadline or just the way they are now? It's always for us. CJ can jump in and then we'll move to a segment about DPs. But the thing for us is always going to be about which teams are buying, which teams have ceilings and which teams are buying to fully encompass that ceiling. I don't think the Reds are going to buy in the same way that the Phillies are. I think the Phillies are going to flat out buy, like buy, like aggressively buy, like cash in chips for big pieces types of things. Not Dave Robertson, but like make a real move for really try to overpay for Mason Miller, like these types of things. The Dodgers clearly are, because the Dodgers think that they could fix Alexi Diaz, which I think they might be able to. That's actually a low-key move that just went under the radar today, is that the Dodgers acquired Alexi Diaz. So it's about those teams that'll make moves. The Reds aren't going to do that, but the Reds are more likely to say, hey, we traded with the Guardians and got Paul Sewald or someone like that and make these little moves, because the Reds are big team ceiling with small ball coaching and managing, which is why I just think the most value is probably on them.
Well, I would also say to Porter's question, at least for me, I think it's important to put into the buckets which teams do we think will buy and which teams do we think will sell. But I think it's dangerous if you start thinking, okay, well, I'm going to make this bet because I think the Phillies will get Ryan Helsley. That to me is like a mistake. Like you should just be, if your inkling is, look, I think this team will at least be motivated to buy and will continue to try and build the team. That to me is all that necessarily matters. When you start playing more of sort of like the, Bill Simmons trade machine type of thing, I think that is, that's a big mistake. At that point, just wait for kind of the dominoes to fall and for the chips to be put into place. Plus, I also think you and I specifically will look at the buy sell stuff a lot more preseason, because it's going to dictate team win over unders and teams like, worst record markets. For example, like we put in for the Angels very early on, that will definitely not cash thanks to the Rockies, but teams that we know that will absolutely have no incentive to buy and they will quit. That is worth really factoring in, I think, but more so in the preseason level versus, come June. Now I think you kind of have a pretty good idea of who will likely be buyers and likely be sellers. But
I'm highly confident that the Phillies are going to get Ryan Helsley. Mickey Abel is a St. Louis Cardinal. He doesn't know it yet.
You just throw out Mason Miller here on
well, they leaked out that there was an offer. I'm starting to begin
to think that you might be a closet Yankee fan, because this is all I heard Yankee fans say last year is, wait till
I don't know why
anyone
would. I don't think Mason Miller is a good person to make a trade for, because I don't. Why would you want to trade for a dude? What, you're gonna have to overpay for a guy without you're gonna, first of all, you better be winning it now if you're doing that. And the reality, I just don't see the point of trading for a guy who yes, you have options yet left, but they're going to carry over into a CBA that's going to have to expire. That's a mess of a situation.
This is also part of why I'm just rooting for the Cardinals to continue winning, because I love playing with the scenario of what that front office is going to have to do, because there's going to be an immense amount of pressure from fans to go for it and to do something, because that team has been pretty much irrelevant for the
They
last
didn't do anything in the
4 to 5
offseason
years.
either.
And they came in telling their fans that this was basically like what the Mets said to their fans last year, which was a transition year. So
I agree.
very
I mean,
excited to
look,
see what plays out there. But
if I'm them, the last thing I'll say before we move to DPs, if I'm them, just get Arenado to the Tigers. And
I love that move for the Tigers.
That's
to be honest, that would
get
be
that move to the Tigers. Get
Arenado
send Arenado to the Tigers. Get back probably Montero and some other guys.
What if they
and probably get back Montero and maybe Vierling or McKinney, but another guy, one of those guys. That's what I would do if I'm the Cardinals. If I'm the Cardinals, I'm doing everything in my power to get Arenado to the Tigers. And he has a full no trade clause. So
yeah, he does. Which he deployed.
He's deployed.
In December.
He doesn't want to go to Houston. He doesn't want to do that. But I think he needs to. I think he's a Tiger. And that's a missing, and that is also why I am high on the Tigers. But we'll keep going. Let's talk about.
Yeah. So let's go into your personal favorite new team market, the DPs double play. Okay, get anybody listening.
Yeah, I don't know why.
If any other ideas, it's for double plays in baseball. So I thought this was the first time you had sent this. I'm like, oh, I mean, I'm tailing this just because this is the most degen thing I have seen so far from a team market perspective this season. And then you hit like 5 in a row, and now I'm like, is this actually a real edge that maybe you had found, or kind of just one that you were able to actually cap and feel like there's some legit research going into it? Why don't you talk a little bit to me about like, where are you finding, like, how did you find this market, and what are you using to actually research to find this market?
So first of all, I've been reminded by our producer to just let everyone know what they stumbled in on, which is not an OnlyFans podcast, but rather, by the way, Inside OnlyFans, great podcast. But Dad's Bet Baseball. And we're at Dad's Bet Baseball. Follow us on Instagram, because a lot of you aren't. Maybe some of you don't have Instagram, but that's fine. But if you're under 35, if you're over 35, you have Instagram. So that also, we're on YouTube. Give us shouts. And we have a fun friend of the pod who helps us out, Hall of Fame Bets. You can use the code DADS. You get half off the first month and you get a first week free. We have found them to be a fantastic complement to Handygraphs, which is our website for all baseball metrics, especially team stats. I use them for a lot of team markets. But the key thing here, back to DPs. So, and Spencer, by the way, I know I have another thing I'm supposed to go to in 15 minutes. Like this wins out because this is much more fun. This is a surprisingly simpler cap than anything else that I usually do. So MLB.com has a fantastic stats integration with StatCast, and you can go to team hitting and you can look at individual players or individual teams, both on the inducing ground balls and hitting in, or inducing double plays and get grounding into double plays. The A's, I look at who's been doing it a lot the last 15 games, the last 7 games. A's, Astros constantly ground into double plays. Let's see who else has been doing it the last couple of weeks. Is the Giants. The A's are always up here. The A's are just always up at the top, and so is Houston. And then I look at the other side. I look at is on the pitching side, and who are some of these guys that are there are elite pitchers for grounding into double plays. The Angels are overwhelmingly have this rotation of guys that can induce double plays. If you look at the pitchers, the year to date, the best ones, I'm going to call these guys out because these are a lot of future friends of the program. Jose Soriano leads the league with 14. Jack Kanatowicz, Jack Monsters Inc. 12. He's second. Davis Martin, third with 11. Shane Baz, 10. Hunter Brown, 10. Taj Bradley, 9. Chris Bubik, 9. And Littell. So actually, there are 2 Angels and 3 Rays at the top of this list, which basically and our Lord and Savior Christopher Sanchez is on there too, which basically and Drew Rasmussen. So everybody in the Tampa Bay Rays rotation is actually an elite double play inducer. So what I'm doing is I'm basically taking anyone who's going against the Rays and anyone who's going against the Angels a lot of the time. So today there'll be a Houston one, but this market is fantastic, and you can bet over on both of them because the A's, when the A's and the Astros were both playing each other, over 1.5 was -120, and I thought it was a great bet, and it cashed right away. It's also, I can't really think of a more electric cash than waiting out a team to ground into a double play. It's just such a fundamental part of baseball that we've now turned into like
a double play. Actually,
one of the greatest bits.
It's also like when it actually happens to me, and I can kind of compare it to like watching the end of sort of like just a horse race where it's like, oh, come on. Like you're like, get the second. Like you got to get it, get it over to first. So as a sweat watching it, it's a really fun market. It's fun to tell people that you're betting on DPs as another added bonus.
But naming myself the DP king has been awesome. My wife is like, I think that this is great. I don't know.
This bit is good, but the one thing I think you brought up that I also want to emphasize is that, so you went to MLB.com to find this stat, right?
Yeah.
And if you
I use ours to look at the ground ball rates. It's the same. Yeah.
I love Fangraphs. And you and I both are on Fangraphs every single day for specific types of metrics. We were just using it earlier for the show for Pythag. You will see though, like there's certain things like Fangraphs is not the be all end all in terms of like different splits. So like we have, our site Handygraphs or whatever for our last X number of plate appearances. If you go, for example, to MLBs, you actually can select, like one of the things I really like about their splits are you can select for like qualified rookies. So if you're looking for, hey, I want to look at stats for rookies that would actually be eligible for like rookie of the year, you can break it down into specific player pools. They also have a ton of different splits that Fangraphs actually doesn't even offer. Like for like if a pitcher just goes on a specific day of the week.
Oh yeah, day games. That's why. Yeah, day
games
is why I like
AJ have that stat available. So
yesterday,
and again, Statcast will have some different things too. Just would encourage use Fangraphs, but it doesn't need to be every single split, every single stat that I'm going to go is going to always be on Fangraphs. That's a good kind of exercise to just every so often go browse, kind of gloss around things like MLB.com, Statcast. Even sometimes you can find this like stuff on ESPN for some stats that they may not necessarily even so much carry, but emphasize and put it out up front. So that would just be more of kind of my PSA on that. And to kind of wrap up the DP.
Well,
stuff.
It also has pitches per inning, which I know on Underdog you can bet. Which is also a good way to figure out outs. And so I feel like you and I are both thinking, is this stuff we want to find a way to include in Handygraphs at some point? But
yes, well, pitches per inning.
It's like, look, I know why I could never really take a Yusei Kikuchi over outs. Dude averages 18 pitches per inning. Yep. That's second highest in the league.
That's all you need to know about.
Gore's up there, and Gore leads the league in Ks. It's kind of good to use this, and what I'll do is I'll use Handygraphs to find. I sort by ground ball rate, and I'm looking for that nice and red, and then I will go back to this, and I'll say, all right, well, where's there mixing and matching? There's a little bit of this and that goes with it. So, this is it's my favorite market right now. There's a couple guys, if you're watching it live, the guys that I really, really like today, there's the Rockies are really good at doing this, but then you have to look at a team that's in that kind of form too, where they're just sort of not seeing balls well. And the problem is that the Mets aren't hitting well, but they're not hitting so badly that I really want to bet against them for a double play. So it's really interesting how this whole thing works. As I'm looking at this right now, I know I'm going to want to do the Rays to turn one, and then who else today? I want the Rays to turn one, and I want who's playing Seattle, and I want Seattle to turn one. Let's do that. I'm actually going to bet that live right now. Right now we're going to do that. We're going to do the Rays to turn a double play and Seattle to turn a double play against the Twins, and we'll call that our play here.
I'm gonna have to bet this, by the way, for every single time that Christopher Sanchez pitches, because
he's awesome at it. He's just awesome. All right,
for that.
So it's so anyway, look, this is all great. Again, you can go to our website, handygraphs.com. Use that reminder for all the team markets. This is another thing you can look at this. They have the total bases you could look at, and I can look at total bases for a team during the day games. It's part of why I took the Braves under yesterday. It didn't hit because they had a crazy 7th inning, but took that. And then I compare that on Hall of Fame bets, because Hall of Fame bets has all the team total base markets. Hall of Fame bets has every team market except for this, because we're just so degenerate that we found this. That's a reason why we say to everybody, hey, this is a really good complementary app to the stuff that you're using with us, is that looking for value is about finding stuff that not everybody's on. Like, why take a dart on J-Ram to hit today when you could just go with the Guardians total bases overall? And you could look on Hall of Fame bets, and you could use code DADS, and you could see, hey, this team's hit it 12 times in a row. And no one's paying attention. So anyway, all right, that's what I got. This is good. I think producer Spencer is telling us just move to freaking dad moves already. So dog, and being a dog dad does count. All right. So I have a good dad move today. My dad move. Well, CJ, is there anything else you wanted to do to tie up any of that?
No, I think we have sufficiently covered the DPs.
Okay,
so
cool. We've covered the DPs.
If that's what the people came for, you got it. You got DPs, you even got a live DP. So
DPs. This podcast will eventually be sponsored by OnlyFans. So all right. My dad move of the week is the fact that I am leaving some of my work early to go on a date with my wife to Costco at 1:30 this afternoon. I have a call after this.
Kids?
It is Sans kids.
Okay.
And there is probably nothing that she has admittedly is turning her on more than me saying, babe, let's go to Costco, and whatever you want, we can get.
Oh, that's how my wife feels about the Dollar Tree. It's
we used to be that way.
Let's go to the Dollar Tree and get you some greeting cards for under $1.
It's so ours is bubble things for the kids. Is a good thing to get at Dollar Tree, like bubble guns.
That is a good thing.
Yeah. So all right. So anyway, my dad move is just simply taking your wife on a date, or your significant other. Honestly, any like millennial liberal woman is going to do this. Take them to Costco. So all right, CJ, what do you got?
I will also, by the way, throw in Trader Joe's into that too. My wife also likes going to Trader Joe's as just sans kids. My dad move of the week, I think mine is more, if you have a young one and you are struggling to, like, for example, I'm in charge of my daughter getting ready to like get her out for school or get her for daycare every morning. And a lot of the time, like, you'll ask her, what do you want to wear? They'll just say no. And now it becomes an immediate fight. Make sure like your kids are preoccupied and then ask them a question. And what I mean by this is, for example, my daughter has to go to the bathroom. I'll go and ask her, hey, while you're here, what shirt would you like to wear today? If she is watching a Daniel Tiger in the morning, go and make sure that you brush her hair, get her different, new socks on, etc. Find those areas within either before they go to bed, when they wake up. If there's times where they're like totally preoccupied with something, or they're sitting somewhere, even if they're maybe sitting and eating, that's a great time to just like slip in some things that you were going to have to do later on. And now, whenever you get to that point where you have to put them to bed, get them out the door, you've kind of already completed 90% of the task. So that would just be my recommendation, is look for opportunities where your kids are really preoccupied, and then try to get them to do something. They will be more willing to do it.
My add-on to that is getting your kids to pick out their clothes the night before, because they get very excited about then what they're going to do then the next day, and it makes the morning very easy.
Yes. I feel like, though, that does depend on either the age or the kid, because we tried that, and then the next morning my daughter would always say, no, I don't want that. I want to wear something.
Yeah, that tracks with Dora. That's so but yeah, I guess I can understand where that one is that one's coming from. Sorry, I got distracted by Ryan Pepio ground ball rates. That was going on. All right. Cool. All right. So for CJ, who is at Dad's That Bet, and our producer Spencer at Spencer_Ray, Ray RAY. I'm Adam Rosenberg at Hey Rosenberg. You can follow us on Dad's Bet Baseball at Dad's Bet Baseball on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Music, on Podbean. Though I'm too boomer to know how to use Podbean, but we have people that help us use us. Follow us on Instagram. We could really boost that Instagram because we got Twitter followers, but we boost that Instagram. Show us you're older than 35 and give it a like and then share the reel. Do that whole thing. I know what your algorithm says. Thank you guys for all stopping by. Good luck with your DPs. Good luck with your families. Good luck with your bets. And we will see you next week. Final word from CJ.
Grounders.